Good morning, Lisa. It's so nice to have you here today with us. Thank you so much for taking out time to share your story with us today. And what should I say? Your social enterprise, Oceanic Impact, has a unique story and so much positive impact on ocean environment. So I'm really excited to know more about how this business has grown so far and how leveling it up program by Seed has played a role in your success story. So let's start with a little bit about you and what inspired you in the first place.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me here. For me, before I started, I actually spent a lot of time traveling in Southeast Asia. So while I was there, I actually saw the impact of marine debris on local communities. So we would be staying at all these fancy water bungalows and whatnot. Why, if you wander out of the tourist areas, the locals are actually dealing with the impact of all the single-use plastic waste generated through the tourism industry. So this location that I was at was a very remote island. So even by boat, it takes an hour to reach there. So needless to say, there was no waste management. So a lot of the locals had to burn the plastic waste, and then I saw little kids just playing around this huge film of plastic. So it made me recognize there is a societal injustice in our relationship with plastic. And then additionally, as a diver and a marine biologist, I spend a lot of time neck close to the water and underwater. And I also seen the impact of marine debris and plastic products on wildlife. So I've done my fair share of removing fishing nets underwater and seen the impact um, that it has on wildlife and how it keep just killing um, animals, turtles, and other things. Yeah, so that actually inspired me to come home and do something about this issue. And I recognize that it's not just a third world issue or a developed country issue. Is all interconnected. It's our relationship with plastic that is causing this problem, because a lot of times we actually export our plastic waste to these poor communities and causing all these different types of impact. So that's where we started. When I initially started, it was meant to be a community-based project just focusing on cigarette butts. However, after I started, I realized there is a desire for this type of education material, this awareness raising, being spread into other countries. So a few months into my cigarette butts project, I actually went to Vietnam to work there as a marine biologist and also in the aquaculture space. And I also work as a dive master at the same time. And I had individuals coming up to me asking me to provide material in Russian, Vietnamese, or Chinese. And I just realized that there is a need for this material and making it accessible to other people. So fast forward to 2020, when the pandemic started, I got repatriated from Vietnam. So we were coping with a lot of changes, including one day I was working on a boat, taking people underwater, to the next day I'm home and I suddenly need to quarantine. So I was looking for ways to address the issue of marine debris that I saw while I was overseas. And creating an organization was actually the answer to, okay, I can leverage other sources of funding and I can potentially scale it and have a greater impact uh, on other people.
Wow, amazing. I mean, from marine biologist to seeking this opportunity and turning it into this the need or filling that gap of education and outreach and even empowering the local communities to take some action is so inspirational, Lisa. Thank you for sharing that with us. So I would say, if you have to sum up in one sentence that what you have described just now, that what do you offer to the community, what this business idea or what you're doing right now offers to the community?
Yeah, for sure. So Oceanic Impact is a marine conservation social enterprise that focus on addressing different marine conservation issues. Our main focus is on marine debris reduction and elimination, and we do that through education as well as technology development. I think that might be more than one sentence.
Yeah, it is. Definitely. Thank you. It has been summed up really nicely. Like I think it takes everything. So I think my next question to you would be, what challenges did you face early on? And and if you wanted to just let us know that how did you overcome them, the challenges you faced when you started this business?
Yeah, there's quite a few different challenges. So when we first started, as I mentioned, the cigarette project, it was very much community led and education focused. So because of that, we were relying a lot on grants. And we came to the realization grants is not a sustainable revenue or financial model because it restricted on our growth and what we can do. And also sometimes I spend more time writing grants and doing reporting than actually doing the work myself, like doing the actual underground work. Yeah, so it just wasn't sustainable in that sense. And for the last 2 years, we were actually spending a lot of time on exploring technologies that can help us alleviate some of our underground work because we do have an international footprint, and I personally cannot be everywhere to do all the work myself. So we were exploring leveraging different technology to help scale the community effort and the education side of things. Um, but for me, I'm a scientist. I don't have a background in business or technology or or other things. So that became a huge challenge myself to me because I just don't know how to um, develop the tech myself or finding alternative business model or doing financial projection and whatnot. So the knowledge gap I would say is a huge problem for me. And then the second challenge is as I mentioned is the financial side of things. So for the environmental education itself, a lot of them are offered by other environmental not-for-profits, and that they are usually free. So for bigger organizations, they are easier to apply for bigger grants to support their ongoing efforts. But for a smaller startup entering the space, it's very hard to compete with them for the same type of funding and to grow at the level that we want to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think these are two biggest challenges. I think every small business definitely feels, but being a women entrepreneur also in that kind of space too, I feel the, uh, yeah, definitely. So the education gap you mentioned. So how did leveling it up came into that piece? Like I'm just imagining that that is where you thought about leveling it up by CEED program, that okay, uh, there should be that opportunity to fill that gap. How did that came into that picture? Do you wanted to share with something from that?
Yeah, for sure. So when I incorporate or first started my organization, I was actually studying a Master of Marine Management degree at Dalhousie University. And during that time, I actually participated in a lot of university accelerators. So they were 2 month to 3 month long, and then have a very set milestones to reach that. And then one of the accelerator after we finished referred me to take an external accelerator called Propel program. And actually, I met one of my another female entrepreneur in my cohort recommended me to take the leveling up program. Um, so through the different accelerators, I learned how to pitch the IP legal side of things and a lot of other skills. However, what I found missing in the other programs I took was that I'm not imagining my company to be, to have a $10 billion revenue. Like I came to the realization I don't need to be a unicorn to have a impact or the level of impact I want on my community or on the world. So through taking the leveling up program, I actually very enjoy all the courses I took through the past 2 years. So one main thing I liked was that I can take whatever course at my own pace throughout the 2 year period instead of following the set structure of other accelerator. And on top of that, I can take courses that I like and that I would find useful to my business instead of like a prescribed um, training module or training schedule of other accelerators. So throughout that process, I was able to work in a lot of the leveling up courses based on my own schedule. So while running the business, I also have a full-time job. So being able to see when courses are offered, I can rearrange my schedule from the full-time job and my commitments to Oceanic Impact to fit in that course to make sure that I'm not overloading my schedule and things like that. So that piece I found it was very valuable for the leveling up program.
Oh, that's such a great point. Thank you for sharing that. And we saw that you have taken wide variety of different courses at Leveling It Up. We hope that might have helped you in different areas. And maybe, yeah, Caitlin can touch base on the more impact side of it. Over to you, Caitlin.
Yeah, thanks, Priyanka. And Lisa, I so agree. We hear so much that it's so hard to balance your time, especially as someone with a startup, between educating yourself, finding the resources, putting in that time, and also doing the work and running your business. So that's so real. And it's so smart that you took the time to realize this is what I need. This is how this works with my schedule. And it's clear that you've put in the work to really realize your vision in a way that best suits you and the community and the impact that you're trying to make. So what I would love to know is, did you have some sort of aha moment during the Leveling Up program, like some really important takeaway or something that really resonated with you that changed how you think or how you do your business?
That's a great question. I had a lot of moments.
We'd love to hear that too.
um okay. Okay, where do I start? Okay, most recently, I guess I finished the champion mindset course. So doing that course, I would say the course in itself was very unique, even compared to other programs I have taken. Um, and I would say through all the leveling up programs, maybe that was the most attended course that I did. I think for several reasons. So I in the entrepreneurship space, a lot of times trainers or who are delivering the course very focused on hard skills, but a lot of times is the soft skill or the mindset piece is being overlooked. So, mental health and burnout and things like that, or limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome is such a key piece to entrepreneurships and our belief on what we can do with our business. So through the champion mindset course, learning to recognize the inner critic and the negative beliefs and whatever that is holding us back, and flipping that script to move forward. It is a huge aha moment for me. So that's one. And then another piece was from Ruth's WordPress class. So I took WordPress, I think, from her first cohort. And actually, in the recent cohort, she invited me to join her office hours. When I can, I went to all of her office hours as well. And that's for a reason. So when I came back from Vietnam, I was building the website. I ended up working with programming students to develop our current website, and that's why it's outdated. It's built completely with code on the back end, so I don't even know how to go in and change a picture. And yeah, not just pictures. It's like I don't know how to add a page. I don't know how to change the smallest thing on there. And that's why from the WordPress course, I actually found that very empowering, learning skills that I can update the website myself. I don't need to hire someone or ask a volunteer to help out. And I can make updates at a lot faster pace than I would otherwise can. And also it's like, other than the time and the finance side of things, I found it very empowering, like developing that tech skills that I can do things myself. I can troubleshoot, I can change layouts very quickly and things like that. That it was just very empowering. And I said the same thing to Ruth. I left it, and it's why I came back for your office hour the second time. Then another one was the presentation skill course with Shift Ed, Shift Ed, yeah, Academy. So for me, I just already spent several years teaching. So I consider myself a very strong public speaking person before I even joined the public speaking course. However, Tisha did also still were able to deliver some very unique content for me. And I was able to enhance my skill still as a presenter, both online and in person. And in fact, I'm actually like I continue on working with Tisha beyond leveling up. So I'm part of her coterie group. So which is a circle of female entrepreneurs or other people. And I have been following her journey on developing new workshops and whatnot. And I attend a lot of her classes and have one-on-one coaching with her as well. And that is beyond leveling up. And then other aha moment, I guess the bookkeeping and accounting class. I found that very useful, because I found other programs, they teach you how to pitch and how to have a financial projection that have 100-time return on investment, or have a $10 billion market size or whatever return on investment, but no one actually taught me how to do the basics, which is bookkeeping and keeping track of my receipts. And then for us, because we are a social enterprise, so we are in a little unique position in that we have a for-profit arm and a not-for-profit arm. So it was very hard to find resources to distinguish or separate the two arms, like what goes in the for-profit, what goes in the not-for-profit. So Stephanie was able to tailor the course to my needs. So I thought that was very useful, and she was very patient in answering different types of questions and letting me recognize what's the benefit for incorporation versus was a sole proprietorship, and from the accounting or the finance side of things. Yeah, another course I would like to point out was also the legal essentials course. I think I was also one of the first cohorts, so Corinne was still figuring things out. So the course may have evolved, but similarly, not just talking about IP laws like other accelerators that I've done, but like more down to earth laws, like a piracy policy that I need on my website, or terms and condition, like more practical instead of somewhere for fetch things that I might never use as well. And then another one on the law path is the initial support. So I actually worked with Initio in the past because we were a company part of Dalhousie. So the university accelerators are always recommend Initio. So they were the one that helped us incorporate. So being able to continue working with them while we grow our business, in the sense that we needed additional documentation at this point. So for example, this week they just delivered an employee handbook for me that included like legal forms and whatever I should ask employees to sign, which goes beyond the NDA. But it might be things on recognizing health and safety and equity and diversity and training opportunity and other things. So which I think would be very valuable as we scale. And I also very like the Canadian landscape course from SWF, I think. So for that course, it was also different in that it also focused a lot on soft skills that we don't think of, on networking, on other things like that. And then what was most valuable was after the course, patients took time to create like a one-on-one tailored plan for the business going forward. So that plan actually changed my perspective a lot on how I can grow my business. So I was always imagining that I have to go out there and find customer myself and delivering the material. But patients came in and said, how about you reach out to programs that already have something in place and that you can just go in and do a workshop for them. So, you know, flipping that dialogue instead of just pitching to someone that's not already in the space, your products and service, pitch to someone that's already in the space and how you can grow together. So that I think is a very valuable mindset to have. Yeah, I would say all the Lighthouse course were also useful. So as I mentioned, my website was built by programmers. So the two web development and the front-end JavaScript course did help me understand a bit of the coding in the backend. And then after I took those two courses, I took Rufus WordPress course. So they actually complemented each other very well if I need additional coding on the WordPress website. Yeah, so that was great. And then I also took the data analytic class recently. And for my capstone project, what I did was I actually downloaded our social media analytics from Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. It took a lot of work putting everything together, but I was able to create a dashboard that would work for us going forward and seeing what type of posts and what time of day of posting is doing well on different platforms. Um, and then because I already created a template of data that we are using, so any additional data in the future, I just need to fill in the blanks instead of creating the whole database myself. So that was very unique and useful for me instead of just relying on whatever I get off LinkedIn or Meta and things like that.
Lisa, that is so awesome to hear. Hearing all these takeaways and all the things you've learned and everything that you've put into your business is so awesome to hear, and it warms my heart to see how you've grown over the course of the Leveling It Up program and how much you've taken away from it. That is amazing. And it seems like you've really taken like a wide range of courses as well to strengthen yourself as a businesswoman and strengthen your social enterprise itself. Would you say that Leveling It Up has improved your confidence as a woman entrepreneur?
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned, developing a lot of this different skills myself and being able to do things myself or understand the back end process of that has been very empowering.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. That's really what we wanted to do with the Leveling It Up program is to be able to empower and bring confidence to women entrepreneurs like yourself. And I mean, as a impact-focused organization, Oceanic Impact, it's right there in the name. We can see across your initiatives like Let's Talk Butts or your new Debris Mine app, which is really cool. And in the number of people that you've educated and mentored and the workshops you've shared, there's a lot of impact all around stemming from your organization. Have you seen any ripple effects of the work that you've been doing or of your impact in your local community from your business?
Yeah, definitely. I think especially the mentorship piece. So for mentorship, what I've been doing is actually a project mentorship. So because we started off as a community-based project, um, a lot of our mentorship was done through with individuals that want to do similar things. I actually met with one of my mentees on Tuesday, and what he did was he developed a platform called In Your Nature, which is basically a dating app for environmental organizations to look for volunteers and vice versa, individual wanting to volunteer with environmental organizations and finding which one would be a good match. So he was one of my mentees, so I provided a lot of guidance to him throughout the process and on, you know, as an environmental organization myself, like what are considerations I have when I take on new volunteers and whatever things like that, and also share funding opportunities and other things. And we were actually discussing on, you know, ongoing collaborations moving forward. And then another one we had was like I didn't realize the impact until years later, was I think they are called sculpture shorts. So you might have seen around Nova Scotia is a huge white whale that goes around on the beach, and people doing cleanup can drop their bottles in there. I actually did not realize I had an impact on them starting that project. So they went to a talk that I did several years ago on marine debris and how I started my project and what things to consider. And then fast forward to, I think last year or the year before, I reached out to them asking for a chance to collaborate. And they were like, I was actually in one of your talks like a year ago or 2 years ago. And like you inspired me to start this and things like that. So needless to say, we had like a lot of things in common and a great time talking about things like that. And that's actually what I found a lot in the impact space or even in the education space. A lot of times we think that we don't have an impact, or that you deliver the material and people just have a angry or not so happy face, and you wonder if you actually deliver the message. But sometimes it takes people's time to sit and reflect on the material and seeing how it have a ripple effect moving forward.
That is so cool. That's awesome to hear that something you did inspired somebody else and that they put in the work and made an even bigger impact because of the work that you do. Very cool. Taking circular economy to another level. I have another question for you. In your opinion, why should there be more programs like Leveling It Up, and how do they impact entrepreneurs like yourself?
Yeah, I think there's a few pieces. So one is what I mentioned before, being able to take the courses I need on a schedule that works for me. That flexibility is very important to female entrepreneurs because a lot of us, we start off as a side hustle. We need our full-time job to keep business going. So that flexibility is key. Like some other programs I've done, it demands a 30, 40 hour a week, and that turned into a full-time job in itself. And a lot of programs, if I do take other programs in the future, the first question I ask is how much time commitment it is. Because if it's too much, then I start thinking what's the benefit of this program compared to what I can do with my business, moving that needle forward, right? So flexibility, yeah, and customization is key. And another piece I really like Leveling Up is all of the trainers, they are women entrepreneur themselves, and they are small business owner themselves. So they understand the struggles that we are going through. And I just love seeing Leveling Up, working with them and also helping them generate that business, that awareness raising and publicity side of things is very valuable. And then another thing is Leveling Up is focused on female entrepreneurs, so creating that community of support of others in the space, knowing our struggle and having a safe space to share our struggles, our learnings, our whatever. Just having someone being there for you is very valuable.
That's awesome to hear. Lisa, thank you so much for sharing your story today. It's clear that Oceanic Impact is much more than a business. It's a space for people to learn and come together to take action in support of marine conservation and the environment. We're honored to have been a part of your journey with Leveling It Up and watch you put in the work throughout the program. And we can't wait to see what you do next. And help others grow and continue to spread your message and your education. Do you have anything else you want to share before we end off?
I think we cover everything like that, but I would love to see other female entrepreneurs take charge and participate in programs like this. I did also share the program with some of my teammates that actually also went off and started their own business as well. So they've also been taking courses here and there. And yeah, they do also find it useful being able to take courses on their own schedule and only ones that they need as well.